Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse DC Rebirth Cyborg. It is about time we got a regular Cyborg figure to add to our Justice League lineup. Been a long time coming. Want to give a huge shout out to my boy Corey for finding this for me at Walmart. I've been shopping at the Corey Mart. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, ages 12 plus. DC Multiverse Cyborg. Here he is in the package. We have a display stand, collector's card, and the large, oversized gun that originally appeared with one of the Green Lanterns. One side of the package, Cyborg from DC's Rebirth. Cyborg. At the bottom, there's his barcode, if that helps. And on the back side, here he is posed up from the comics. So with no further ado, let's open him up. Alright. Now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all the accessories laid out. He doesn't come with much, display stand, collector's card, and a large oversized gun. Before I deload all that, let's talk about and check out the figure. So this is Cyborg. His real name is Vic Stone. A terrible accident led him to be part machine and part man. He was originally a member of the Teen Titans, but ever since the New 52, there's been a huge push for him to be in the Justice League. And this guy's from the Rebirth. He was one of the biggest sort of omissions to the Rebirth Justice League. Yeah, we have the Flashpoint version, but that's way too big. This is a normal Cyborg to add to the collection, finally. So let's take a look. Start with his face here. Has that traditional sort of red light in the center. Half man, half machine. I can see a lot of reuse from the Murder Machine body on this guy, but it looks pretty good. A lot of silver. It's got some sort of weathering to it. It's not just plain silver. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. For the most part, he looks good. I wouldn't mind him being a little bit bigger. I know it's a weird thing to complain about because I complained the last one was too big, but I don't know. I feel like he should be sort of a larger side of things with his robotic body. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. I'd say the head sculpt is definitely one of the highlights of this guy. It looks fantastic on both the human and the robot side. It definitely screams Cyborg. Another little detail I wanted to show off is he has this little hole in his hand. Kind of reminds me of Iron Man's little pulsar weapons. Now let's check out his accessories. Starting off with the display stand. Typical McFarlane stand we've seen a million times before. Here's his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Cyborg, very similar to the figure from DC's Rebirth comics. On the back, there is a description. If you want to read that, pause now. The description is really weird. It says, the pre-Flashpoint incarnation of Vic Stone. I don't know why they would describe the pre-Flashpoint version when this is from the Rebirth, which is the post-Flashpoint version. And to tell you the truth, I actually think they used the wrong word because this is the New 52, which is post-Flashpoint origin. Then we have his gun. It's a large cannon. This is the same gun that was released with the John Stewart Justice League Unlimited figure, and it sucked then, and it kind of sucks now. They repainted it in silver. It's very large, and it's not unusual for a Cyborg to have a large gun. You can put his hand back here, or in through the top. Here's Cyborg's gun on the left, next to the original John Stewart version on the right. So he comes with this very large gun that just sort of slides on top of his arm. Addressing my biggest complaint with the previous Cyborg release, well, besides the fact that he was way too tall, but he had this permanent arm as a cannon, and he couldn't interact with the other figures. It's not like he's going to have this giant cannon when he's walking around the Justice League Watchtower, etc. This one gives you kind of both options. You have the arm as a gun, and you have the arm as an arm. Now we're going to check out the differences and reuse between this Rebirth Cyborg and the Dark Knight's Metal Murder Machine. So let's take a look. Obviously, the heads are completely different. As we go further down, shoulder pads are the same. The arms look to be the same, even the hand. The top part of the torso looks to be completely new for Cyborg, and the stomach also looks to be different. The diaper piece is the same, and the legs are the same down to the feet. It actually makes for a pretty good Cyborg. The Murder Machine figure came with this weird alternate hand that sort of like a bunch of tentacles. I always imagine this is him sort of plugging into like a mainframe or interacting with some sort of computer. Let's see if it fits onto the Cyborg. Here's a look at Cyborg with Murder Machine's alternate hand. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure and his accessories, let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing about 7.3 inches tall, which can translate to 18.5 centimeters. And for his articulation, starting with his head, of course, you can rotate side to side. Can't look up too much, look down okay. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint goes up way more than 90 degrees. The shoulder pads are soft, they move out of the way. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He does have this butterfly ring between his shoulder and chest, increases the range of motion, and covers the large gap that would be there. Bicep cut, double jointed elbow. His wrist can rotate and it's hinged. In his torso, he has a ball joint, rotate around, forward and back. Another one in the waist, rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, very good range of motion in the torso area. Legs, completely does splits. McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation is okay on him. Go forward about that far. Back not much. Double jointed knees. And then the ankle. Forward and back. Rotate. Tilt, rock, and toe articulation. Now switch to a big computer laboratory. Maybe this is the Pentagon, US mainframe. Cyborg there, doing maintenance, keeping it safe, interacting. Here's a look at Cyborg, utilizing one of the wall-mounted computers. Intruder alert, here's Cyborg with his gun, ready to go. And then here he is, hacking into the mainframe. Now let's check him out, next to some other action figures, starting off with some other Cyborg figures. Here he is, next to McFarlane's first Cyborg. This one is from Zack Snyder's Justice League. They made two variations, and he was an okay fill-in for a comic Cyborg. Then, next to McFarlane's second Cyborg, this is based off the Teen Titans Go cartoon, and is the only member of that team they ever made. And now, next to the Flashpoint Cyborg, this is a Build-A-Figure. He's enormous, way too tall to really fit in with the rest of the Justice League properly, and he has that cannon permanently attached to his right arm, which is a huge negative factor. I wish he had two alternate arms, and was a little bit shorter. Beyond that, he looks pretty good. Here are all the McFarlane DC Multiverse Cyborg figures they've made so far. I'd say for the most part we're covered. I wouldn't mind a classic version to add to the mix. Here he is, next to a DC Direct, New 52 Cyborg. A little bit bulkier body. Then, next to a few Mattel Cyborg figures. On the left, DC Universe Classics Classic Cyborg. On the right, some Multiverse Justice League Cyborg figures. Here are all the different Cyborg figures I have in my collection by McFarlane, DC Direct, and Mattel. Here's Cyborg, next to Murder Machine. Murder Machine is basically a Batman-Cyborg hybrid from the Dark Multiverse. And then here's the Cyborg, next to the Cyborg Superman. Here are what I would consider to be sort of the main members of DC canon, or the Justice League nowadays. Martian Manhunter, Cyborg, The Flash, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Hal Jordan Green Lantern, Aquaman, and Shazam. Now I always have sort of a problem with Cyborg and Shazam being forced into the Justice League as main members in the New 52. To me, Cyborg is always going to be a member of the Titans or the Teen Titans, and Shazam always going to be a B-lister. Here's this new Cyborg figure, fitting in with the Titans, Nightwing, Starfire, Cyborg, Beast Boy, and Raven. You can add in the Wally West Flash, Donna Troy, and Arsenal for a little more filled-out team. Now let's check them out. Next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here's the DC Rebirth Cyborg, next to the Dawn of the DC Red Hood. Here's Cyborg, next most recent Platinum Wave, The Question, and the Shining Knight, still looking for effigy. And here he is, next to the Page Puncher Damian Wayne, Robin, and Deathstroke. There are Platinum Chase variants of both these figures, and I'm looking for two of each one. If anybody out there knows where I can get one for a reasonable price, or can help me out, please drop me a line in the comments below. It is much appreciated. Then, next to McFarlane Toy Store exclusive, Jonah Hex. And now, next to the Michael Go Alfred that came with the Batman Forever Batmobile, and the GameStop exclusive, Frostbite Deathstroke. Here's Cyborg, next to the 7th wave of McFarlane Collector's Edition figures. We have the Battle Damage Dark Knight Returns Batman, the New 52 Huntress, and a couple Green Lantern Corps members, Tomar Ray and Abin Sur. There are Platinum Chase variants of each of these three figures, and I'm looking for two of each one. And here he is, next to the Batman Forever wave, Collector Build and Nightmare Bat. Then, next to the previous Platinum Wave, Bullseye Batman, Hugo Strange's Batman, Batman Begins Lucius Fox, and the Flash movie Batfleck. And now, next most recent Batman wave. Both the regular and Platinum Chase variants of the Batman Reborn Dick Grayson Batman, the Adam West Batman, and the world's finest Fusion Batman Superman. And finally, next to the 6th wave of McFarlane Collector's Edition figures, Red Hood, Clock King, Ragman, and Agent Liberty. Each of these 4 figures has a Platinum Chase variant, and I'm still looking for 1 more Red Hood, 2 Clock Kings, and 1 Ragman. Now let's check them out. Next is some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. But first, let's check them out with some of the McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale, and now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures, and some Diamond Select toys. Here's Cyborg, next to a voltage detector, and here he is, with some DC Direct and NECA figures. Then, with both some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures, and now, with some Mezco and Mattel DC figures. Next, with some Mafex and Hasbro Marvel Legends, and finally, with some SH Figure Arts and Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, it's a pretty cool Cyborg figure. When I first saw that it was mostly pure reuse from Murder Machine, his weapon was reused from Jon Stewart, I was like, ugh, that sucks. But in hand, he works really well. The only thing I really don't like about him is the shoulder pads. I think they could have used something slightly different, and they still could have reused the same Murder Machine mold. The gun, at first, I was like, oh, that's so dumb, they're using that old gun. But it works perfect. His hand fits into it. It's like he's morphing his hand exactly like a Cyborg figure should be able to do. Have 2 different options, a regular hand and a gun hand. His articulation, even though it's a few years out of date, still pretty nice. Almost the same as the current McFarlane style. I like the gun. I wish he had a couple of extra hands, but not a big deal. The paint job is also very nice. The silver on him has some weathering on it. It looks kind of worn. It looks good. His head sculpt and face are fantastic. If I had to rate this guy, first thought's probably an 8. But the shoulder pads, a lot of reuse, I'll bump down to a 7.5. But it's a really nice Cyborg. I'd say it's the best one they've cranked out yet. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say to the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.